of democracy. We hope that one of these days our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be able to tell the story far better than we ever thought of. Maybe that one of these days that we could look back over the spits, over the kicks, over the coffee spills, over the cursing outs, and say it was all worth it. So today we're here to give thanks to God, because here in Oklahoma was the longest nonviolent protest in America. We're going to try to stick to the program. We have now Jeruba, who is one of the original sit-inners, followed by the Honorable, my pastor, Reverend Byron Coleman, followed by the mayor with a lot of courage. Mayor, I haven't had a mayor to come and be with us in all the years I've been, 60 years I've been here. I want to say thank you. And we'll just take it there because we're going to have a good time today.
Yeah. We're getting close, y'all. I'd like to do a poem I wrote. I guess I started writing this August 19, 1958. August 19th. It was 1958. Oklahoma City was slow to integrate. Black and white restrooms could easily be found. And the smell of segregation was all over this town. The policies of the establishment was a horrible sin. They tell you go round to the back door if you want to get in. The back door mentality seemed to be the order of the day. They say go round to the back door, boy, if you want to get paid. Go round to the back door, boy, if you want to eat. Go round to the back door, boy, if you want a seat on the back of the bus. Now, just when it looked like them bigots was gonna win, a lady named Clara stepped in. A lady named Clara Lupa, you know. She said, I can't take this injustice not 1 minute more. So she organized the youth of the NAACP. And we marched downtown, y'all, singing, we shall be free. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Someday, yeah, oh yeah, oh, deep in my heart, I do believe. Now, it was Cat's Drug Store that refused to serve. And black and white faces showed up on the sidewalks and curbs. Then Clara took a group down to Johnny Brown's. And that's when the walls began to fall down. Behold the walls! Al's ice cream. Y'all remember Al's? I lived 2 blocks from Al's. I went to Al's every day. I was standing in Al's when Al said he would never, ever hire nobody black. Clara organized the Minutemen Commandos, and it broke Jim Crow's back. You hear me? Al broke down. He hired a black. He hired the lightest skinned brother he could find. But he's a brother. Animal's restaurant. Y'all remember Animal's? We showed up at Anna Mall's, and Anna Mall said, "I'm sorry, we don't serve blacks." Clara said, "That's okay, because we don't eat blacks anyway." Just when it looked like them bigots was gonna win, a lady named Clara stepped in. A lady named Clara Lupa, you know. She said, "I can't take this injustice. Not 1 minute more." Now her list of accomplishments, they go on and on and on and on, and I could have you up here all day singing this song. But I must admit that my favorite one is when she took a bus load of us to something called a March on Washington. Changed my life. And that day, I saw the king. He told us of his dream. And his dream became our dream. I have a dream that one day the children in our nation would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of the character. Oy, 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 Clara Lupa. 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 Thank you, Clara.
Absolutely wonderful. Amen. Can we give him another round of applause? Amen. This is the day the Lord has made, and we have reason to rejoice and be glad in it. It is with great humility and joy that I'm able to bring you the occasion for this evening. Our reason for being here today hinges on one well-known fact. That 60 years ago, August 9th, 1958, Clara Lupa and 13 of her students made their way downtown to sit at a lunch counter and demand to be served like everybody else. On that day, they weren't just seeking a burger and a Coke. They were, in fact, seeking justice, equality, and fairness. Our being here tonight recognizes the leadership and sacrifice of Clara Lupa, but it also recognizes the resilience and the faith of 13 of her students. We gather here this evening because what we have seen in our community is that many people have forgotten that the reason they can enjoy simple access to certain places today is because of Clara Lupa and the 13. The reason that some of us are able to go to the mall and to restaurants is because of Clara Lupa and the 13. The reason we're able to shop where we want to shop and live where we want to live and drive what we want to drive is because of Clara Lupa and the 13. We are tonight the griots who are charged not with remembering with what happened 60 years ago, but also we're not just charged with remembering, but we're also charged with telling the story over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. We can never tell enough of the struggle and the pain and the sacrifice. We can never tell enough of those who sacrificed and gave their lives that we might have life and liberty and be able to pursue happiness. What occurred here 60 years ago, beloved, not only changed Oklahoma City, be not mistaken, it changed this country. Clara and her 13 students didn't just shift downtown Oklahoma City, they shifted the universe. They made life better for generations unborn. So when you encounter a young person who is ungrateful, when you encounter an old person that forgets where they come from, remind them that there were those, Clara, Lupa, and 13, that sacrificed for them to be where they are. So on this evening, let us continue to honor, celebrate, and remember the great work that we are the benefactors of. But also let us continue to fight for those who are still marginalized, oppressed, and neglected. We gather here tonight with gratitude in our hearts that without their commitment to freedom and justice, there would be no us. No one who is here tonight, this evening, should leave without being touched by the love and the labor of these soldiers I'm looking at right now. Clara would not want you to come to church, her church, Fifth Street Baptist Church, and simply honor her and not mobilize to make your space better. She would appreciate y'all coming tonight. But I could hear Clara say, as only she could say in her demanding voice, all right, so what you gonna do now? Somebody say amen. So it's with great joy that our paths have crossed on this 60th anniversary of the Oklahoma City Inn. But let us be ever mindful of the sacrifice of the past while we're planning to shape a great future. Somebody say great future. I leave you with these words from Babcock. We are not here to play, to dream, to drift. We have hard work to do and loads to lift. Shun not the struggle, face it till God's gift. It matters not how deep entrenched the wrong, how hard the battle goes, the day how long. Faint not, fight on. Tomorrow comes the song. Be strong, and be strong. Thank you.
Will you please stand and greet the mayor of Oklahoma City, followed by Reverend Lee Cooper.
Thank you. Good evening. If I have any hope of successfully following Jaruba, you're going to have to keep that organ music going. Don't stop now. Something incredibly remarkable happened 60 years ago today. And I think, there's lots of reasons for what makes it so remarkable, but two jump out at me. One is when it happened. This was not following a trend. This was not something that Clara Luper and the young sit-inners had inspiration to look at across the country. They were going out on a limb. If it wasn't the first sit-in in the United States as part of the civil rights movement, it was pretty darn close. And we know that it inspired, as Pastor said, this was not just a catalyst for change in Oklahoma City. It certainly was that, but it changed the country. We know that it inspired the sit-inners in Greensboro 2 years later. How do we know that? Because they said it did. It was in the paper this morning. One of the young people who sat in Greensboro 2 years later said he'd read about Oklahoma City, and he said, man, that was bold. those kids. I really liked what they did. That's the other thing that makes it really remarkable, is that it was kids. When I read that it was, 6 to 17 years of age was the range of those who participated. I know what a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old look like. I brought one of each tonight. To think of them 3 years after the murder of Emmett Till, in an Oklahoma still dominated by Jim Crow and segregation, to think of them walking down in the cats and sitting at those stools. So for all of those reasons, as this date approached, I wanted to make sure that we accomplished lots of things, that we accomplished, though, at least 3 primary things. One was that we would honor and commemorate what happened 60 years ago. And man, mission accomplished. I mean, this has been a fantastic week, and it really started weeks and months ago with the planning that went into this and all these events that started Thursday. Joyce Henderson and Marilyn Looper Hildreth told me that the committee had no chairs. Now, having said that, I've met Joyce and Marilyn. I've spent some time with them now, and some people are just natural leaders, and I am not sure that they weren't the co-chairs of this event. But it was a strong committee, a passionate committee, and it came up with some really powerful commemorations this week. We actually kind of added to it Tuesday morning at City Council meeting. We had members of the committee and community leaders, and the council voted unanimously to declare this Freedom Fiesta Week, which, yeah. And that was, I don't know everything. I can be a little ignorant to history, and so when I asked Miss Marilyn, a couple weeks ago, I said, we want to declare something. Is it Civil Rights Week? Is it Cat's Anniversary Week? I mean, what do we do? And she said, Clara would have wanted it to be Freedom Fiesta Week, and that would not have been necessarily my first instinct. But I now know a lot of the history there, and that was an event that she hosted to celebrate the civil rights advances in our city, and so it was perfect, and that's exactly what we did. And this is the last day of Freedom Fiesta Week. But because this is the last day of a lot of things that are related to this anniversary, it is important that these commemorations don't end today. So the second thing that I wanted to accomplish this week around the anniversary was to put us on a path for a permanent recognition of what happened at Cat's Drug Store 60 years ago at the site of what was Cat's Drug Store. Yeah. How can we expect the Smithsonian or anyone else in this country to hold up and elevate our history if we don't do it ourselves first? And so I've been around government a while. This is not going to happen overnight, but it starts with putting some people in charge who are obligated to make sure it does come to a successful conclusion, and then we get something there fitting to the occasion. And so I have asked, and they have accepted, 2 gentlemen to co-chair this effort, and their effort starts tonight. And so I would ask Councilman Lee Cooper to stand, if you would.